I want to look at setting up some creative gating in this video. Now, it doesn't always have to be about glitches and complex rhythms and repeats with Beat Breaker. It can be used for different types of effects for volume swells. Now here I'm going to apply it to this synth bass to start with, and here's this little groove I'm working with. So some long sustained notes. I'm going to start with the default preset. I'm going to switch to volume, and I'm going to start by just bringing this down. I'm going to hold down the shift key and drag like that. Now we can get a kind of side chaining effect depending how deep we want to go, but I'm not going to go too deep, maybe a little bit deeper, but not a whole lot. And I can adjust the slope from here if I want it's a little bit more accurate. And then curve, I'll hold down the command key and I can now drag this left and right and get something like this. Now remember, the first time through the buffer, it might not sound exactly as is, but it will the second time through. Maybe a little less deep. With a different curve. So you can get a kind of side chaining swell type of feel. So I'm going to save this as a preset. And as we did in the last video, I'm going to copy this one and then paste it into the next slot. And here I'm going to maybe modify it by, well, start something like that and see what that gives us. Not liking that. That's a nice subtle variation. And again, I want to create a palette of these, so I'm going to just name this one and move on. And then over here in this third slot, let's paste in the original again. And I'm just going to option click and reset that one. And let's do something a little bit different. So again, I'm shift clicking to bring this down and do maybe a drastic kind of roll off, and I'll command click now to do something like this. Let's hear what that's like. Let's go all the way off. So you see how even the curve parameter alone gives us some really interesting options. Now here I've pasted in my 01 version again and created another variation where I've left this, but I've added another swell on this beat. So I have two happening in this pattern. Plus on the repeat, I've put a little repeat here on one where it's at full volume just to get a little bit of a rhythmic element to it. And here's what it sounds like. Really interesting with this dip. And this little pickup here is not quite at full volume, so it ramps up a bit. And I saved that as 05. So I'm going to save this whole preset now, and I'll be right back. Here I've called up Beat Breaker on the pad sound as well as the bass sound, and I've got this preset with my custom gating patterns on both of them. They're not really gating, they're more like side chain pumping type patterns. And here you can see the chords up here and the bass notes here, and we can put the same pattern on both to get the same kind of swelling and pumping on both tracks. Let's try the second one. The next one. Very interesting. And of course we can mix and match. For example, here on the bass, maybe I'll use the first pattern and leave this one over here. Or maybe the fourth one on here. So lots of kind of interesting gating, sidechain pumping type of effects. We'll continue with more in the next video.